So the whole idea of what we're up to here is finding the sacred everywhere present. And I know some of us have our favorite spots, right, where it's easy for us to see the sacred. Do you have one of those? Do you have places where you think it's easy to find the sacred? Anybody want to share? Yosemite, very specific. Okay. The redwoods. Uh-huh. What's that? Kealakekua. And sounds very Hawaiian. Yeah, it's the volcano, yes. Okay. Uh-huh. Near water, the golf course.
The ocean, communion with people.
Communion with people, the ocean. Uh-huh.
Hugging a tree.
Hugging a tree. What's that? Your backyard. Uh-huh. Being right here, right now. Irene? Unity of Walnut Creek. All right, we're going to end there. But did you notice the themes? So there was a lot of communion with people, and there was a lot of nature. And a lot of us do find the sacred in those places. Some people feel more challenged amongst people. Many people feel like, oh, I can just find it here in nature. So it's a little bit of both, right? For many of us, and many other things, as we're going to see as we open this up a little bit further. So there is somebody very special who found the sacred in nature and found the sacred in the company of animals, who made her transition this week, Jane Goodall. She said this: "No words of mine can even describe the powerful, almost mystical knowledge of beauty and eternity that come suddenly and unexpectedly in nature." Or many of you know her as the woman who studied chimpanzees and apes in Africa, but she also dedicated her entire life to telling us about the sentience of these beloved beings and to care for animals and to care for Mother Earth. And she also likened being in the forest, somebody mentioned forest, to a temple. She said this. There's one more, I think. "The forest is for me a temple, a cathedral of tree canopies and dancing light." So in honor of Jane Goodall and for the good of all of us, the search for the sacred is on. That's our challenge, right? That's what we're opening to in this new series as we begin our fall series on ordinary mysticism. It's a book by Mirabai Starr. The subtitle is Your Life as Sacred Ground. And so it's this idea that we're all mystics and that we're living a mystical life and that everything is holy now, right? Because we suddenly become aware when we move into that everything is holy. And we're going to look at some of the ways that we do that. But, always a good place to begin with all good things, I think, is a story. So I'd like to share this story, a very ordinary story. A woman is driving down a road and she comes to a stoplight. It's a Tuesday evening, nothing particularly strange is happening or unusual is happening. It's the same route she always takes, the same stoplight she hits on the way home. The same empty soda cans are rolling around in the back seat floor of her car. There's just that kind of sense of a routine day. She's feeling tired. She's thinking about the chores she has to do when she gets home. And then all of a sudden, something happens when she gets to that stoplight. The sky is ablaze with an amazing sunset. And she starts to look at colors and combinations of colors she's never seen before. The way that the purple hues are softening into lavender and that fiery orange is present as well. She even sees those gold lines around the clouds. You ever seen that kind of like halos around the clouds? And she is in absolute awe. The chatter of her mind has stopped. And she's just in that space of reverence and wonder. Everything has shifted in that one moment. And then the light turns green. Horns start honking. Somebody yells out their window, "Go!" And she has to move on, right? And so it's that she expresses that she wasn't just seeing in that sunset in that moment, she was inside of the sunset. And that she felt a sense of belonging to the world, to everything, to everyone, to earth, that there was kind of a melding into that experience. And then there's suddenly this jarring, this movement, this gotta go feeling. Later she said that moment was mystical. It wasn't planned, it wasn't earned, it just happened, and it woke me up. I love this story because it captures the invitation of the whole series. It captures the invitation of how this happens to us all the time. There are sacred things that happen. Now, it's easy for us to point to a sunset with a fiery sky and all those colors and hues and say, that is sacred. Our work is to see those things, to cherish those things, to allow those things to be melded into us, as she said, to get inside of them, and then also to let them be carried in us. And our work is to notice it everywhere, in all things, in the places you didn't know before, a moment ago, or a week ago, or an hour ago, that you would ever even call sacred or consider it to be a mystical experience. I like that story because it can happen to anybody on a Tuesday evening at a stoplight. And it can happen to any of us on any day of the week doing anything when we start to really pay attention to what's happening. So you've probably had these experiences before, yes? Fleeting holy moments. And then pretty soon there is some proverbial green light that you have to go, or some symbolic honking horn of some kind, or somebody in your household is yelling, "Where's my socks?" And it suddenly, jostles you out of that experience, right? And then you move on with your everyday life, your everyday chores, your mind chatter, or the things that you think have to be done by you, whatever it is. And maybe you shift out of that reverence space. So our work, our challenge, is to open to everything being that reverence, and to be walking in that, moving in that, doing all the mundane things we would do in a lifetime, suddenly infused with a different kind of energy. And it's not, there's mystical, and these words that we use, mystical and sacred and spiritual, they kind of give us a sense that it's over there, or it's something really special. And it is something really special, but it can be something that we recognize is here now, right in this moment. We begin to look, to notice, to use our senses in a very different way with intention. And that's what this first leg of the journey is about. The difference between having an experience and then moving through it, dismissing it, forgetting it, not even noticing it at all, is that we haven't claimed it, and how we claim it is with intention. So setting that intention that I'm not chasing an experience, I'm consenting to it. I'm opening the door to what is already here, what is available to me at any given moment. Life is packed full of magical moments and mini miracles. But we don't recognize it until we set that intention, till we claim it as so, and then we begin to live and breathe and have our being in spirit. That's what that's about. When we say that, it's not just a passing thing to remind. Often I say, we come together on Sundays to remind ourselves of who we are. And this series is helping us to say, no, every day, every moment, every experience now. I'm not just going to Unity to have that reminder. I'm reminding myself that I'm standing on holy ground. I'm reminding myself that it's a miracle that I'm here, that I'm having this breath right now, that I'm seeing whatever it is that I'm seeing all around me, or I'm hearing whatever it is I'm hearing, or I'm touching whatever it is I'm touching. It's suddenly a miracle because I intend it. I intend myself to open to it, what is already here. who I really am, who the person is who's before me. As several of you said, communing with others, being in community, that's sacred to you. So my friend Cynthia and I used to have these experiences that whenever we would get together, that we started calling magical, mystical, miraculous, I don't even remember all the words, magical, mystical experiences, mystery tours, that's what it was, magical, mystical, mystery tours. And it would just be like going to dinner. But things would just happen, so we would meet somebody that we didn't expect to meet, or the waiter would say something and we'd be like, did you just hear that? We would read the tea leaves, I don't know, there was always something happening that felt like magical, mystical mystery tour. I'm really having trouble with that now. And so, but I think it was the intending of it, the claiming of it, the recognition of what was going on that allowed it then to just be so every time. There was just always something unexpected that happened that opened us to that. And so it's that kind of claiming an intention and beginning our day with that makes a difference. And to say that, and to notice when we notice, whoever we're with, to speak to it. Wow, did you just notice that? Did you see that? I mean, it's so lovely sometimes to have an experience in solitude, but isn't it even all the sweeter to be able to experience it with someone else? And for both of you to be experiencing whatever it is that feels so incredibly beautiful, or whatever it may be. The classic definition of mysticism is a direct experience with God, or the divine. And since we believe in unity, that the divine is everywhere present, principle number one, right? Permeating the universe, everywhere present, and that we, principle number two, are also divine, then it's not very much of a leap for us, unitics, is it? To go, oh, well, everything is holy, everything is sacred, everything is mystical. So it's not something set aside anymore. It's not something for the cloistered nuns or the saints of the past or the sages that we have put up on the pedestals. This series will continue to help us level that playing field, to say we all are here on this journey together. And isn't that a mystical experience? Because we are all mystics. We are all having a direct experience with the divine at all times. It's just a matter of whether we're paying attention to it, whether we're setting an intention to have that. So Mirabai Starr talks about this in various ways. She says you don't have to be off in solitude on retreat, or climb the mountain, or go to see the guru in the cave in India. You don't have to have necessarily those experiences to have mystical experiences. And that's how we bring it home to our own doorstep, by recognizing that truth. That we don't have to have intermediaries. The priest doesn't have to say the blessing, or we don't have to be a part of the ritual that somebody who's ordained organizes, or we don't have to necessarily get our spiritual credentials ourselves to be mystics. We are mystics. We are having direct experiences with the divine all the time. And so all we're doing in this series is opening up to receive, to experience, to start to notice in different ways what is already here. Just by claiming it now, just by saying what I just said, feels like it sets an intention. Are you with me in that? Am I the only one feeling that? So I suddenly start to feel the shift. And when I look around and I look at your faces, I see things differently. Do you see that? Does that happen to you? Do you look around a little bit? Look at the colors in the room and the faces. Look outside at the light. Or listen. There's some laughs. There's some utterances going on. So it's opening to that, and it's claiming that. But why don't we always feel like mystics? I mean, maybe in the moment you're like, okay, well, yeah, at Unity. It feels sacred here. It's where my spiritual friends are, or the place that it feels good to be in. And we've already said it's, these are sacred grounds, and we've acknowledged they're Bay Miwok grounds, they're Ohlone grounds. We've heard this beautiful, reverberating, penetrating Hawaiian chant that brings us into those places that are ancient, that touches that space in us. Does this not do that for you? Touches those spaces that just, they make me want to weep. It's so beautiful. It's back to the beginning. For me, it takes me back to that source space. It's like, oh, yeah, and here we are on this earth living this incredible experience. So then suddenly life doesn't just become a drudgery, life becomes this like illuminated space. It's that we've said in the past, in New Thought you often hear, bringing heaven to earth. This is the idea, right? To bring heaven to earth. Well, this series is all about that. It's about noticing that heaven's already here. This is heaven. And so wherever you might see something other than heaven, or experience something other than heaven, or start to get in your mind about this is something other than heaven, you can begin to see, even in the most difficult circumstances in life, even in the most painful things that you might see going on around you or in the world or feel into, you can begin to feel the beauty in that. You can begin to feel the sacredness in that, the connection, the help, the things that come with travesty and tragedy. So it's all here for us. It's all available for us. So going to this place of then asking ourselves, well, what is it? So why don't I always feel like a mystic? That's where that intention comes in, that intention for us to begin to claim it and to know it. And to recognize that as you consent, as you open the door, you allow that which is already there, knocking on the door of your heart, from the inside perhaps, knocking on the door, saying, let me out or let me in. I've always loved that scripture verse in Revelation where it says, listen, behold, I stand at the door and knock. Let me in. If you can hear my voice, open the door, and I will come in and eat with you, and you with me. It's that last part, well, all of it gets me in this sort of inspirational way, but that last part is so intriguing to me because it brings in the physical. It's like the whole verse is spiritual and it's physical, it's profound and it's mundane. It's the Spirit saying, I just want to have a meal with you. And it's like, really? Wow, that's pretty cool. So suddenly eating becomes communion, right? And walking upon the earth becomes like a massage for Mother Earth. It's that kind of shift in recognition that Spirit is always knocking on the door of your heart, is maybe even yelling with a megaphone, look, listen, pay attention. Look at the person who's standing right before you. See the divine, the sacred, the beauty. Let yourself be moved. Let yourself be opened. Let yourself be inspired, even in the midst of a moment of frustration. Let it open you. Let your heartbreaks break you open. All of that is a part of us recognizing the mystical that is everywhere present, including within us. So cultivating this kind of inner posture for us that says, I am on holy ground. I am living and breathing and moving upon holy ground. Imagine if that becomes your affirmation every day. This is holy ground wherever you go. One thing we can do is to become aware of the thresholds of everywhere we go. So when you come home or when you leave home, cross that threshold and say, oh, I'm on holy ground. When you come to Unity, when you go to your workplace, when you go to a meeting, every time you cross a threshold, say to yourself, I'm on holy ground. One of the things I love about the nature immersions, some of you have experienced, we have a play date coming up that's one of those, is the different, a lot of you said nature earlier, like Jane Goodall, right? You find the sacred in nature. And the difference between going out into nature on a walk and doing a nature immersion is really a threshold. So what we do is we make a threshold. We might build one, or we might just, do a line in the sand or the dirt. And then we know what our intention is. We set our intention, and then we cross the threshold. And what happens when you cross that threshold, what's different about just a walk in nature and crossing that threshold, is you have now entered ceremony. And that's what you're doing by crossing any threshold with that kind of clarity, that kind of presence that says, I am now on holy ground. I am now in ceremony. It's very different. Something shifts. Something shifts inside. Something awakens in the heart when we set that kind of intention. And ceremony, suddenly you're the priest or priestess. You're the mystic. You're making ceremony. What is that? Well, maybe it is a meal. Maybe you're preparing a meal. Maybe you're gardening. Maybe you're having a conversation. Maybe you're at your computer. It's all ceremony if you intend it to be so. It's all available to you at any time. It's really about if we get ourselves in that kind of space, right? And so it's easy for us to get ourselves in that kind of space if we're already maybe halfway there with these principles, these ideas. Okay, I can get with that. God is everywhere present. I can get with that I'm a part of that, at least a part of that, if not wholly that. And I can get that the earth is holy ground. And that means holy ground anywhere, whether I'm on carpet or tile or grass or dirt or sand. Holy ground. So it's all of these things that we can do to help us get past any barriers or any resistance that says, I'm not a mystic, I don't have visions, I don't hear voices, or I'm too busy, or that sounds too indulgent, or whatever, all the things that the mind will throw up to say, that's not me, right? Or that is, I want my saints and my sages and you can have them. I mean, nobody's taken away the saints and the sages and the messiahs and so on, the master teachers. We can have them all. It's just this 7 weeks is inviting us to invite them to walk beside us and to invite ourselves to step in to what is available to us already, what is here and now in every breath. So it's not hard, but it's the very things that we throw up as our barriers and our resistance that Mirabai Starr says supremely qualifies us for this work, because it doesn't disqualify us to have struggles. It doesn't disqualify us to get caught up in our errands. It doesn't disqualify us to feel exhausted. In fact, these become the portals to the presence. Because then we are the humble human being that finally opens ourselves and says, I feel really tired. And when we say that, suddenly there's a recognition, right? There's an opening. There's a vulnerability that allows us then to become more open to what is available to us, what is here now, what is sacred. Even those pathways are sacred. The introduction of this book has a writing prompt, as does every chapter. And this one, it ends with, I find the presence of the sacred hidden in. So it's a really wonderful thing to just reflect upon throughout our days or write. A simple, practical way for us to ask ourselves over and over again, where am I finding the sacred presence? And maybe hidden in helps us see, helps us look a little deeper, open it up a little, the view a little bit wider. So other things we might do is take a mindful breath, before we make a phone call, or pick up the phone, or send a text, or read a text. Whatever it is that we're doing through the day, we can find those moments where we, pause, return to ourselves, return to that kind of space, and then we open to whatever it is we're doing. See your commute not as wasted time, but as a time to really be in the presence. It's those small acts that we choose that'll open the door. So this week's invitation is to simply be the mystic that you already are. And to set the intention that I'm going to be the mystic that I already am. And see what happens. See what happens as you open that door. Maybe as you're washing the dishes, you'll have all kinds of contemplative wishes come forward. Who knows? Maybe your conversations will suddenly become more reverent, more present. Maybe the sanctuary of light that fills your mind when you see light playing on in nature, on the leaves, or at sunset or sunrise, will stay saturating your mind throughout the day with those colors, with that light of play. So I want to close with that, to return for a moment to that writing prompt and just give you a moment to reflect on that question. And the question is, I find the presence of the sacred in. Just take a moment to see what comes for you. I find the presence of the sacred hidden in. And what if you spend your whole week finishing that sentence? What if you set your alarm on your watch or your phone, and every so often, periodically throughout your day when it rings, you say, I'm finding the sacred presence hidden in. It really helps with the hidden in, because there are moments when we think, oh, no, I'm really angry, or I'm really upset, or I really don't like whatever the moment that is happening, right? But suddenly there's that call. It's like, oh, there is something sacred here. Speaking of sacred, would you mind a little? I love the way Tyler plays. We have this thing going. And it's sacred. So starting on page 1, the intention of this entire series is laid out to demystify mysticism, which really is what it's all about, and to invite us to awaken into the everyday mystic that we are. So this is what Mirabai writes. Welcome to the temple of your regular life, the garden of your days, the harbor where you catch your breath, the theater of your relationships. This is the terrain where you wake up and transform. The sometimes chaotic, frequently fraught, unexpectedly beautiful domain of the everyday. Your life is holy ground, and you are a mystic, and so it is. I invite you to affirm with me this truth. Together, I am a mystic walking on the holy ground of my everyday life, and so it is. And you mystics who are out there watching, we see you too. We don't see you, but we see you. Everyone have a mystical week.